Oh yeah, it's caging time. I hope you guys like my suit and tie. I thought I'd wear this for a special occasion. And that special occasion, of course, is my birthday. No, I'm just kidding. It's Cage Match. Cage Match. Today we're going to be talking about Cage Match. Mortal Kombat Legends Cage Match is the fourth movie in the Mortal Kombat animated movie series. And just yesterday, I watched it with my buddies on the Combat Kings podcast. The full video will be out soon. And this is going to be my early impressions of how I felt about the movie. Mortal Kombat Cage Match is a movie that is set in the 1980s, where Johnny Cage is struggling in his movie career and he has a lead to a breakthrough, which involves him going on an exciting adventure and eventually leads to him saving the world. It's quite a simple plot, honestly. Where should I start? I think I should just explain whether or not I like this film or not. And I think that all comes down to one very important thing. It doesn't matter how good the action is, it doesn't matter how good the story is, it doesn't matter how great the art style or the extras or anything really. All that matters is how did they handle Johnny Cage? He is the main character of this movie, so I better like him or else this movie is absolute trash. Now let me give you a bit of backstory here. I love Johnny Cage. Johnny Cage has been like one of the best characters in the Mortal Kombat franchise. However, in the Legends series, in Scorpion's Revenge and Battle of Realms, I don't really like him. I don't find him to be that funny. I don't find his character to be that great. And people were mad about that in Scorpion's Revenge, but I think people did kind of agree with me in Battle of the Realms for that part. So the fact that they decided to give this version of Johnny Cage, who is still also voiced by Joel McHale, his own standalone movie, was not something I was looking forward to, I will say the least. However, after the release of Snowblind, which is a movie that I did like from the Legends crew, I had a bit more faith into this movie. I felt like, okay, even if Johnny Cage doesn't work, maybe the other parts of it will. But with that all being said, what did I think of Johnny? I liked him. I really liked him. And because of that, I liked this movie. Like, he was actually funny. I was actually laughing. I was actually enjoying his character. He felt like Johnny Cage. To contrast with him in Scorpion's Revenge, like, even if you did like Johnny in that movie, he was kind of a loser. He was kind of a fumbling bag of funniness. Whereas in this movie, while he still does fumble, he still does do funny things, he is still the main character. He is still the guy you're trying to root for. And also, he's a Riz King. Like, I don't really think he had that much in the Scorpion's Revenge, but he is actually a Riz King in this movie. Like, hot damn. Everything just seems like an upgrade for me, in my opinion, about Johnny. Because if you look at the behind the scenes in the Scorpion's Revenge of Battle of Realms, you will see a lot of improvisation humor with Joel McHale. Like, he'll be like, okay, this is the line, I'm gonna add on a bit here, and he starts like ad-libbing, he starts like adding a bunch of these jokes. I didn't like that. That was probably one of the things I didn't like about the previous Johnny. I felt like this time they were like, alright, great job, Joel McHale, we love your humor. However, 80s style. Give me 80s style one-liners, 80s style humor, you got it. And it worked. I'm very happy it worked, because I actually don't think he felt a lot more held back in his humor, and he felt a lot less obnoxious, and I enjoyed it. I really liked this Johnny. Enough complaining about Scorpion's Revenge and Battle of Realms. I should actually just keep talking about the movie. Another big compliment I want to give to the movie is the art style. After Battle of Realms, for some reason, Warner Brothers decided, we want you to change the art style, like, now, and change it in every single movie or something. They did it in Snowblind, and they did it here again, and this time, it's such a unique and different style than like any other animated movie I can think of. The color is so like vivid and also very 80s aesthetic. It actually just looks really beautiful. Like, I'm actually super into a lot of shots that happen in the movie, a lot of the lighting going around the characters. This is probably one of those movies where I would love to take some screenshots and just put it as my desktop because of how aesthetic it feels and stuff. Loving the art style. It might be the best art style in the series just because of how unique it is. I forgot to say this, so let me hurry up and add this in. The music is good. I really liked it. I really like the 80s style music, and I really want to look up the songs right now to listen to them again. I would say plot-wise, it's actually very simple, and because of that, it actually is just a good ride all the way through in a way. It just keeps on going, non-stop action, non-stop plot, non-stop comedy and stuff. I would say, and I mean this not in a negative way, but it's a pretty good movie where you can just turn your brain off and just enjoy what's on screen. I said the same thing for Scorpion's Revenge, but I meant that more in a way where you don't want to think about the plot holes or the characters more, whereas in this movie, I just feel like you're just gonna enjoy the whole entire way through. Now, there are some problems and there are some plot holes and there are some issues, but it's a lot more forgiven in the fact that this is much more of a comedy. You're not supposed to take everything so serious. And if the comedy works, then yeah, I don't really mind as much. Compared to, say, some of the previous films where, you know, it's more serious, so I actually will want to care about what's going on with the story, what's going on with the characters, and the plot holes do seem a lot more obvious in those movies. Yeah, that's about all I can think about. That's not really spoilery. I guess I'll just get into spoilers, which there isn't too much to mention, but let's see what I can think of here. I really like the beginning where we actually see Ninja Mime, like, actually on screen, like, actually happen. And it was actually really cool. Like, I actually really want to see a whole film just of Ninja Mime with how it's portrayed in the very beginning of the film. Now, I didn't really mention too much about the action, and that's because it's something I'm still, like, pondering about how I feel. I really like the beginning action scenes where you got the car chase, you got the one where he fights his agent, Gilbert Godfrey. Then after that, I do feel like the actions kind of go a little bit downhill, and they're a bit, some of them are too short, and some of them are just kind of like punchy, and that's about it kind of situations. But yeah, I have to watch the movie again to really give my critique on how I feel about the action, but I liked it still. I feel like it was still fun. Gilbert Godfrey did a pretty fun performance. Like, he was entertaining. Rest in peace. Celebrity voice actor Jennifer Grey actually did a pretty good job. You did not shame the celebrity voice acting people this time. I'm very proud of you, Jennifer Grey. Speaking of Jennifer Grey, I definitely feel like that was something that I find a bit sus in the trailers, where she was barely in it. So I was feeling like whether or not she was going to be somebody important, or if, like, it just felt like they were hiding something. And boy, was I right. The only, like, big twist in the movie is the fact that Jennifer Grey is Serena. Dun dun dun. Halfway through the movie, I kind of felt like that twist was about to happen, but it actually is kind of an interesting way to portray the story, and an interesting way of doing Serena. Though I will say the twist isn't, like, too obvious, so I wasn't, like, completely blown away. In fact, the part of me was thinking, like, if you're not a Mortal Kombat fan, like, what would this scene mean to you? Call me Serena. It's like, okay, who cares? And Mortal Kombat fans be like, oh, Serena, Stan, Queen. But I will say this, though, because that's the biggest twist of the movie, I must thank you guys. Thank you very much for holding back on trying to do a world-dominatingly huge, gigantic twist again, like you've done for the past 3 movies. Every single one of them ended with something like, oh! And it's just like, okay, enough. Can you stop with these twists? It's way too big and fun. And so thank you very much for keeping this twist very, very minimal. I actually appreciate you guys holding back this time. I'm just kind of thinking of anything up on top of my head that I could think of. Negatives. Yeah, sure. Let's go negatives. I feel like I'm too positive over this movie. And don't forget now, I'm the biggest Legends lover and the biggest Legends hater, so I gotta give my hate speech here. I'm a gatekeeper and a hater. I'm also God's favorite princess and the most interesting girl in the world. There were actually legit a couple times in the movie where a character will just not move. Like, after they're done saying a line, after there's done doing some sort of action scene, like, they will straight up just, like, not move. All right, let's go. And then they'll go. It's like, they'll just not move for like 1 second. It's not the biggest deal, but it does feel a bit jarring sometimes, just seeing that. There were a couple times in the action scenes where sometimes things happen way too slow when it should be happening faster. Let me give an example. There was a scene in the beginning where Asha was fighting Kia, and Kia was like running away with the scroll, and she ran away, and Asha was like looking around, finds the Oscar medal, looks at Kia, and then smashes her with it. And while I was looking at that scene, I was thinking, like, didn't she like ran for like 6 seconds already? How is she still just start running and Asha had the whole entire time to look for a weapon to then smash Kia with? It's like, 6 seconds. Later on, there was a scene where they were in a car and Asha was fighting with Johnny, and Johnny was like, okay, Chuck, come over here with your car. I want to go into your car now. Chuck drives over. Johnny then slowly opens the car door and then gets ready to go to the car. I'm like, you're not gonna do anything, Asha, for 10 seconds? It's like, like there are a couple moments where it's like, time-wise, some of these things don't make sense. Yeah, so a little bit of a critique there. I think one of the biggest criticisms I have for the film, funny enough, is the part in the end where they explain how, in order to revive Shinnok, there needs to be a special blood that needs to be sacrificed or needs to be given. And nowhere in the film was it implied that Johnny was the answer to that. That like his blood is somehow the most sacred, or he's very special to be able to do that. And it's like, nowhere is it implied. I mean, okay, they call Johnny special. He even has that one flashback, "You're special" and stuff like that. But it's like, where, huh, why, when does this happen? Why is this is okay? I really think they should have somehow implied it better, or like explained like who Johnny's ancestors were, or like, oh, you have something lineage or something. Because the only implication that you have that Johnny has special blood is because you played MKX, and that's it. Like, okay, he had green glowy powers. That doesn't mean he can summon Shinnok. It's because he has the god-killing like powers from MKX is why he can summon Shinnok. At least that's what I think. Like, again, they don't explain why. All of a sudden just be like, oh, you're the main character. You can summon Shinnok now. We're gonna use you. It's like, okay? That was something I definitely feel like they should have explained a bit more. I'm sure if I go through the movie again and actually really analyze it, I will find even more nitpicks and more things to talk about, more things to complain about. But like I said in the beginning, I don't mind it as much because this is a comedy. And the focus is more on the jokes and more on not taking the situation too serious. Other than that, yeah, I guess that's all I got to say about spoilers. This isn't a movie that there's a lot to talk about. This movie is basically just a very good ride. That's how I gotta feel. It's just a very smooth, nice, action-packed ride. And I enjoyed it. I'm very happy with these recent Legends movies where they don't care about what's in the continuity and try to do something with that. Instead, they just do their own thing. They just say, fuck it. I want to make a post-apocalyptic movie. I want to make a 80s style movie. And then I'm going to add Mortal Kombat elements in it, but I'm not going to do something that's already been done before. And I really love how they take the risks like that. Like, even Mortal Kombat 1, despite it being a different era, there are still tons of things about that game where they just will not change that happened in the past era. Like, they don't dare to sully some of the sacred things that have been done in the past. Snowblind and cage matches are like, fuck it. Johnny Cage in the 80s, despite the fact that Mortal Kombat came out in the 90s. I'd like to personally thank Jeremy Adams, the writer himself, for greenlighting this movie. He wanted to make this movie. He wanted to do an 80s style Mortal Kombat movie. He kept pushing this idea to the higher ups and just being like, hey, Johnny Cage movie, hey, in the 80s, hey. And the fact that he got it, and the fact that it's this enjoyable, bravo. Bravo, Jeremy Adams, and the entire Legends crew. This is really my comeback story of like loving these movies now, and I'm very happy that this movie actually turned out to be, you know, a fun time. Now, I think the important question is, will I actually make a sucks video, or as I should be calling it, a doesn't suck video? Yes, but not in the very confirmation type yes, because if this was last year, oh sure, I'll do it like instantly. I'll work my ass off making this video. But the issue is Mortal Kombat 1 is out, and I want to put my focus on that. So because of how busy I will be with Mortal Kombat 1, I don't know if I'll have time to make a sucks video for a cage match, and I really do want to. And also, I really want to hold myself back and try to make it very short. It doesn't have to be over an hour, Sonic. You really don't need to do that. You don't need to go down a whole entire conspiracy hole and then somehow make the video 2 hours. Do not do that, Sonic. But with that being said, though, don't expect it anytime soon. I'm not going to be working on it as of right now because I got too much on my hand with Mortal Kombat 1. If I do have time, I will see if I can pump out a cage match doesn't suck video like in between my Mortal Kombat 1 reviews, but we'll see. Don't expect it because I'm going to be very busy with Mortal Kombat 1 stuff. But yeah, I guess that's all I've got to say. If you like Scorpion's Revenge, I think you'll also like this movie because it's just that kind of like action-packed, like non-stop kind of movie. This one is much more of a comedy. Oh yeah, one last thing I forgot to mention. I think if I'm not mistaken, let me look this up. No, it is rated R. Yeah, it is rated R. Okay. The movie is rated R, but when I was watching with the Force Snake on his cover, it's actually rated 15 in their country. So I guess depending on where you live, you don't actually need to be an adult and you can actually watch it with your kids. Well, not the, 3 or 4 year old type kids. I mean, the kids are into the NPC TikTok trend. Thank you guys so much for watching. And remember, this is where you fall. Ah! One last thing to mention, I go way more in detail about how I feel about this movie on the Combat Kings podcast. So if you want to hear more about how I feel or how the boys feel about this movie, go check that out when it's out. Mwah.